Federal government considers Okada ban nationwide. JAMB and other stakeholders approve new cut-off marks for admissions. EFCC to arraign ex-Accountant General Idris Ahmed on July 22nd. On business, fuel subsidy is estimated at 6.72 trillion naira for 2023. On international scene, World Bank gives $100 million to combat Sudan hunger. And in sports, Oshoala claims record 5th CAF award. Hello and welcome to Svtv Newsroom. I am Mohammed, now the news info. The federal government is considering placing a ban on the use of motorcycles, popularly known as Okada. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami announced this on Thursday while briefing State House correspondents after a meeting of the National Security Council presided over by the President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa Abuja. For more on the report, Rahama Ibrahim Dosara.
The minister said investigation revealed that Okada were used for mining activities across the country and the ban would cut off sources of funds of terrorists and bandits. Justice Malami said the meeting focused on the logistics used by the terrorists to stop their activities. He said the government needed to act because terrorists had moved from the conventional ways of funding their activities to mining and ransom taking. The minister said the motorcycles were used by the bandits for movement, while mining provides them the money to fund their arms supply. Rahama Ibrahim Dosara, SVTV News.
The federal government has appealed to the Nigerian Labour Congress to cancel its planned protest over the prolonged strike of the Academic Staff Union of Universities and other university-based unions. Minister of the Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, made the appeal on Thursday at a meeting with the leadership of the NLC in his office. Also in attendance at the meeting were the Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Festus Keyamo, and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Ms. Kacholom Daju. Our correspondent, Rafia Mainasura, has more on the story.
Mr. Ngege in his speech updated the labor leaders of efforts so far made by the federal government to resolve the impasses in the university system. Mr. Ngege further told the labor leaders that the Federal Executive Council mandated him to notify them of the serious security implications of the planned protest. According to him, a security report also sent to his office by the Department of the State Service strongly warned against holding the protest. He urged the NLC to reconsider the planned rally as hoodlums might take advantage of its cause breach of security. Rafia Minasara reporting for SVTV News.
The Joint Administration and Matriculation Board (JAMB) and heads of tertiary education institutions in the country on Thursday pegged the minimum cut-off mark for admissions in the 2022/2023 academic session. According to the stakeholders, the minimum cut-off mark for universities is 140, while that of polytechnics and colleges of education, respectively, were pegged at 100. Our correspondent Zainab Abdulrasif has more on the report.
This was announced at the ongoing policy meeting on admissions, presided by the Minister of Education, Adamu in Abuja on Thursday. JAMB's Registrar Professor Isiaq Oloyede, who announced the cut-off mark after a thorough debate and vote by Vice-Chancellor of universities, rectors of polytechnics and provost of colleges of education, said the implication was that every institution has the right to fix its own cut-off mark, even up to 220, but no one would be allowed to go less than the agreed minimum marks of 100 for colleges of education, 100 for polytechnics, and 140 for universities. The meeting also called for review of admission criteria to give 10% discretionary power of admission to head of tertiary institutions. I am Zainab Abdulsi reporting for Standard Voice Television.
The National Youth Service Corps Director General Brigadier General Mohammed Father has commiserated with the families of 2 corps members that lost their lives in a ghastly motor accident on their way back home to Kaduna State. They were said to be returning home after the 2022 Batch B Stream 1 orientation course in Adamawa State. This was contained in a statement issued by NYSC Director, Press and Public Relations Eddie Megwa on Thursday. The statement said the deceased were on relocation from Adamawa to Kano State before the unfortunate accident occurred along Zaria-Kano Highway after their registration in Kano. Speaking during his condolence visits to the bereaved families in Kaduna on Thursday, Brigadier Father commended the patriotic spirit of the deceased corps members who paid the supreme sacrifice while serving their fatherland. Power sector regulators, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and Bureau of Public Enterprises have approved the appointment of the board of Kano Electricity Distribution Company PLC. A statement issued by KEDCO Chief Corporate Communications Officer Ibrahim Sani Shaway on Thursday confirmed the development. In this regard, NERC and BPE approved Ahmad Dangana, a seasoned management consultant and a business turnaround specialist, as the new managing director and chief executive officer of the company. Newsmen reported that the approval followed the federal government's restructuring of the 5 discos as a result of takeover of 3 discos by Fidelity Bank, of which KEDCO is among, which led to the dissolution of the KEDCO's board of directors. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission will on Friday, 22nd July, arraign a former Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, and 3 others on charges of stealing and criminal breach of trust to the tune of 109.4 billion naira. The spokesperson of the EFCC, Mr. Wilson Uwujere, said this in a statement on Thursday. Mr. Idris will be arraigned with Godfrey Olusegun Akindele, Mohammed Kudu Usman, and Gezawa Commodity Market and Exchange Limited before Justice Adeyemi Ajayi of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, Abuja. All 4 will be arraigned on 14 counts, 2 months after Idris was arrested by the EFCC, and he had been in office when he was arrested on May 16, where he got suspended 2 days later and replaced on May 22nd. In his statement announcing the scheduled arraignment, Mr. Uwujere disclosed 2 counts 1 and 8 of the 14 counts the quartet will face. Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agency, in partnership with UNICEF, has organized a 2-day training for the FCT task group on sanitation for open defecation-free certification. Newsmen reported that the training was held for claiming communities in Kwali Area Council in collaboration with Federal Ministry of Water Resources, Clean Nigeria, Use the Toilet Campaign Secretariat, and Japanese International Cooperation Agency. It was reported that the participants were drawn from the coalition of non-governmental organizations, implementing partners, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as media organizations. In his opening remarks, Executive Director FCT Rwasa Dr. Mohammed Den Hassan noted that the training was a step in the right direction, adding that it was one of the small steps in achieving bigger things. The Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, has assured its commitment to ensuring that Nigerians in diaspora exercise franchise during elections in Nigeria. The chairman and chief executive officer of NIDCOM, Dr. Abike Dabiri-Erewa, made this known in a press conference in Abuja ahead of the 16th edition of the Nigerian National Diaspora Day Celebration 2022 and the 4th to be hosted by NIDCOM, themed Diaspora Engagement in Global Challenging Times for National Development. Dr. Abike said the Nigerians in diaspora contribute billions of dollars of remittances to Nigeria and as such deserve to exercise their civic responsibility. She said the Commission will continue to lobby the National Assembly until it sees the need to pass the bill for an act to allow participation of the diaspora, just as the INEC has expressed willingness to play its role. In her words, the Nigerian diaspora have the global exposure, resources, competences, and skills, as well as the passion and linkages being a catalyst for national development. And now in business. The federal government on Thursday projected to spend 6.72 trillion naira on petrol subsidy payment in 2023. Subsidy or under-recovery is the underpriced sales of premium motor spirits, better known as petrol. Speaking at the presentation of the 2023 to 2035 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy paper in Abuja, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, said subsidy payment projection is based on 2 prevailing scenarios: business as usual or reform. Mrs. Ahmed said both scenarios have implications for net accretion to the Federation account and projected deficit levels. According to the minister, the federal government has recorded a 2 trillion naira budget deficit between January and April. She explained that the deficit further highlights the fiscal challenges confronting the current administration. The minister also said the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, which has funded the fuel subsidy until June, will henceforth leave that responsibility for the Federation. An action, she said, will create a strain on the economy. And now on international scene. The World Bank released $100 million Thursday for the World Food Programme to tackle deep food insecurity for 2 million people in Sudan, where aid was suspended following an October coup. The bank in a statement said the funds will help provide an emergency safety net amid worsening hunger in the Northeast African nation caused by a poor harvest and rising international food prices. It said the funds will be channeled solely through the WFP to scale up the food security response and provide direct support to the most vulnerable people of Sudan. The aid will provide cash transfers and food to more than 2 million people needing aid across 11 of Sudan's 18 states. The United Nations estimates that a third of Sudanese needs humanitarian aid, and warns that 18 million people, nearly half the population, will be pushed into extreme hunger by September. Sudan, one of the world's poorest countries, is mired in an economic crisis that has deepened since last year's coup led by Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. And in sports, Super Falcons and Barcelona striker Asisat Oshoala on Thursday beat Zambia's Grace Chanda and Nigerian Charles Njoya of Cameroon to claim the CAF Women's Player of the Year award for a record 5th time, while Senegalese superstar Sadio retained his men's title at the award ceremony held in Rabat, Morocco. The award ceremony took place in Rabat, Morocco on Thursday. Oshoala is now the sole record holder for the most award wins, thus stamping her authority on the continent. The 27-year-old equaled countrywoman Perpetua Nwocha's 4th CAF Women's Player of the Year award at the 2019 Awards Gala. After receiving her record-breaking award, an elated Oshoala dedicated the award to her teammates. And that's all we have a news update for today, but before we go, a quick look at the major headlines once again. Federal government considers Okada ban nationwide. JAMB and other stakeholders approve new cut-off marks for admissions. EFCC to arraign ex-Accountant General Idris Ahmed on July 22nd. On business, fuel subsidy is estimated at 6.72 trillion naira for 2023. On international scene, World Bank gives $100 million to combat Sudan hunger. And in sports, Oshoala claims record 5th CAF award. On behalf of the editorial crew, Head of News and Current Affairs Department, once again I am Umukustum Muhammad. Thanks for watching. Do have a nice day. Keep watching Standard Voice Television.